good.
All right. We for those of you who don't enjoy watching WWE TV, you can go ahead and turn us off now. But for those of you who do, or for those of you who watch just to hear us talk about WWE TV, we are now 1 day away from Survivor Series War Games. So we're going to talk about our picks and predictions in this next segment. And I've got the card pulled up for Survivor Series War Games. Any initial thought, any just like 30,000 foot general thoughts on it, Lee, before we dive into the card?
Yeah, two kind of beside the scenes, not really behind the scenes, but beside the scenes thoughts. One is AEW actually counter-programmed Survivor Series. They put two of their things on free TV up against at the same time as when Survivor Series is happening. Hey, fortune favors the bold, right? Foolhardy as well. But then on the Survivor Series side of things, I think WWE got out ahead of things with the ending of was it Raw or SmackDown where Cody, I'm gonna introduce my fifth guy, and I've got
it was Raw this
legacy.
Week. The end of Raw. We've got a real legacy together.
And he hears voices in his head. And so just
that might be the one thing that Cody's done that I just cringed, where I was like, oh, what are you doing, Dad? Get off. No more, Dad, please. No. And I love, obviously, I love Cody. He can do no wrong. What the heck was that promo? What was that promo, dude?
Well, it was WWE forcing him to get out ahead of the CM Punk issue. Because they have not only sold out the arena in Chicago, got to know it's Chicago, but then they removed the entire Titantron from the set so that they could open up more, and then they opened up more, and they've sold out 3 times. The reason they've sold it out in Chicago is because people are convinced that CM Punk is coming back. So they put out the fire by saying, "Oh no, it's really Randy Orton," and just so you know.
And we actually talked about that in this segment last week, that if it's Orton and not Punk, you better let people know before they buy their ticket. Well,
they kind of. Personally, I am not a CM Punk fan. He wasn't my era. I didn't really watch him aside from the pipe bomb that everybody's seen. Yeah. But I will say, even I feel like I will be disappointed at this point. Like for me, Randy Orton is a Seth Rollins to me. They're probably the best of all time, or up there, and I just don't enjoy watching them at all. When Seth Rollins is on TV, I'm like, I wonder what else is on, right? When Randy Orton's on TV, I'm like, well, he's going to hit a good diamond cutter. That's what it is. It's a diamond cutter, not but that's it. Like once he hits the diamond cutter, the RKO, then I'm excited. Otherwise, I'm just like, and that's it, right? So I am not excited that it's Randy Orton. So that's my preview, and then we'll get into the card. But Rusty, what are you thinking here?
Well, I think most of my thoughts on War Games are going to come up in the card itself.
All right, what's the first match?
Well, first match. Now I'm reading off the card
in the order
and I'm reading it in the order that WWE.com has it listed on their site. That is not reflective necessarily of the programming. First on the list is Carlito versus Santos Escobar, with Rey Mysterio sidelined due to injury. Carlito stepping up, representing the LWO against their defector, Santos Escobar. Will this be interesting?
I feel like this story was a few weeks too late, maybe 2 pay-per-views or so too late. If he would have turned, Santos, that is, would have turned not, like 2 months ago, I think it might have been exciting. I think at this point it went from exciting to we all saw it coming to all of us went, why did they not do that yet? We know they're going to. And then when they finally did, it was like, all right, there you go. So I honestly, I think that Santos should win. I think that's my prediction and pick is Santos.
Why?
But I don't know. I mean,
why would he win?
Just He just needs, I mean, otherwise, like, okay, so Roddy Piper said it best in the WrestleMania 1 reflection that he did before he died, one of those videos. He said it wouldn't have mattered if Hulk Hogan was the most entertaining character in the world. He was at the time.
Right.
If he didn't have a compelling villain to topple, nobody would have cared, right? And Roddy Piper was that compelling villain. Without a compelling villain in Santos, then the LWO just goes, cool. We
Okay.
won.
All
Thumbs
right.
up. What else? What else is next? And I want the LW. Like, I'm so glad for the representation. I'm so glad for the legacy of that. I'm so glad for that gives Rey Mysterio a chance to go out on like a real high with great legacy.
Right.
I want it to be good. So they need Santos to be the biggest jerkhole ever to
No,
make
I
that
agree
work.
with that. Yeah, Santos needs
So
to go over so that he can fight Ray at a bigger pay-per-view. I don't think
maybe
it
his
can
retirement match.
yeah, no, I think it's got to be
Save
Ray and
that for Dom.
Dominic. I think it's
Yeah,
got to be
true.
Ray and Dominic at WrestleMania, and we settle it once and for all. But I do think to keep Rey Mysterio interesting and relevant, he needs a heel. He needs a heel that knows him. Kind of the deranged fan, Santos. It makes sense.
Right.
So
what's your prediction?
Why are they bringing Carlito back just to bury him at Survivor Series, though? So he can't lose cleanly. Santos will win. It will be a cheat to win scenario. And it is a match that should have happened on Raw or SmackDown or in the pre-show.
2 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Next up, the match I might be the most excited about: Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Shotzi in the women's War Games match against Bayley, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Asuka.
Yep. I'm with you. So you go first. What's your prediction? What are you excited about?
My prediction is this is where they turn on Bayley. This is where Dakota becomes displaced and just like, oh no, what have we become? What have we done? This is where I don't know if they'll continue to be called Damage Control, but like the Asuka, like they have real heel potential with Kairi and Io, and to be like I think they could be the tag champs, and I think Asuka could have the belt. Like, I don't know how that could happen, how they could do a transference of power well. Right. So maybe the plan is for Asuka and Kairi to be tag champ. Like, I could see this really being an interesting, villainous, believable female heel stable, but they got to get Bayley the heck out of there. Bayley's got to go back to face. And I think this could be, maybe I'm dreaming, but this could be even what sets up the return of the 4 horsewomen of the WWE, of NXT. Wow. This could be somehow a return of Mercedes. This could be
Sasha comes back, and
I think this would set the stage for it, and it would be incredible.
Well, so one of my predictions later on is for a run in, and somebody gets hurt before and blah blah blah. So you don't want to overbook this, but what if they start the show and Becky Lynch is backstage and she's just destroyed, and then there's the, oh no, who are we going to partner with? And so they start with the one man down, one woman down, and then Bayley ends up flopping sides, but then they still, Io, dominates because she needs to be a dominant champion. She needs to have that. So Io dominates and it gets down, and then boom, Sasha Banks comes out, and then, the good guys win, Damage Control, whatever they end up calling them, just as long as Triple H has a chance to remedy a bad habit of WWE's, which is the foreign heel stable that just becomes a joke and just is very, dare we say, shockingly racial undertones, and instead just have them be dominant females that just run the women's division. And then, same premise we just talked about in the last episode, the Roddy Piper rule. if they're good enough bad girls, then the four horsewomen feel justified. But if there's not a dominant force for them to
That's
fight,
right.
then it's just like, oh yeah, the four horsewomen came back and they beat everybody. Now what?
I want Asuka and Kairi and Io to essentially be like female Yakuza. Like I want them to be
Ooh,
the coolest, like hit women, hit men, right? I want
yeah,
them to like take people out and like
yeah,
where there's an air of silent and secret assassin to them. I think it would be
yeah.
awesome. Awesome.
Agree,
If they left a
agree.
almost just a body count backstage for the next few months where people are coming up,
Right.
you know, road cases are just falling on people and they don't know how or why. And they're just in the shadows. You don't know what they're doing. And they are just running, ransacking the women's division. It would be incredible. It would be so good and so heinous and villainous that you know who almost NWO-esque, you know, who will save the WCW, right?
Yeah, well, the NWO was a ripoff of something New Japan did anyway. Like it was a playoff of that. So
yeah,
take it back, right? Like just own that and
it would be
have that
super
rival
cool.
faction.
It would be
That would
super
be.
cool. Could you imagine Charlotte Flair's legs just hiding like a road case on like the Wicked Witch of the West?
Wicked Witch.
Her legs just you know, and they're like, who would do this? Who would take out the queen? You know, and it just
Right.
shows like Io like in like a leather jacket just walking away. Like that would be
just calmly.
awesome.
Just calmly walking off.
Unemotional
Oh, yeah, this would be good.
stealth. Just do
Ooh,
it. We want it. We believe they can be
Let's go.
monster heels. So
that's my match of the night too, Rusty. If that happens, I'm in.
I've got them going over. I've got them with the win, the W on that, on the Yakuzas or whatever we're calling them now. So
agree. And then if Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné comes back, she comes back after they've already been beaten, and she's the one that stops the utter destruction.
Yep.
Right?
She comes back basically to rescue Bailey from their clutches, maybe. Yeah. That would be terrific, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe the most confusing match of the night, we've got reigning intercontinental and record holding Gunther versus The Miz, who I believe is a 9-time intercontinental champion. So we've got the longest reigning champ versus the most frequent champ, and yet they've not built that up at all. But somehow there's heat between the two. Oh, did they mention that?
Just like, but yeah, just barely, like partially. So somebody check my facts in the comment section because I might be wrong, but I think Chris Jericho and The Miz are tied, and they can't say Jericho, so they've alluded to the fact, but they're not going to say. Just like how now Ric Flair is in AEW. If John Cena ever or Randy Orton ever got that win that they needed to eclipse his, they're not going to. They're just going to say, and this is now the new record. They're not going to go, and Ric Flair, you know, so they're not going to say, and Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So I think that like plays a little bit off of it. But I got to say, I have always liked The Miz. I think The Miz is one of the best like utility player. Like he's never been the top guy, and he shouldn't be, but he's a great heel. He's a pretty good guy. And aside from the fact that he flops between them a little too freely,
isn't there an industry term for that? A tweener? Isn't that the industry term? Is that
somewhere?
Isn't that a wrestling
but
term?
He's not like Stone Cold. A tweener. I mean, well, like Stone Cold was more of like the anti-hero, right? A tweener usually somebody who just like, I would give that to LA Knight. Like LA Knight is not clearly a good guy. He's not clearly a bad guy. He's right. Miz goes like like way over this side, and then way over this side. You know, like really like speedy between the two. Right. Like Big Show used to.
So they didn't build this match properly. I was really hoping Gunther was going to go after like Maurice or his marriage, or just like he went after his career. He
Oh yeah, that was a great promo.
It really was.
Ooh,
And they were
Gunther
both
proved
in
himself.
suits. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and of course Miz with the cheap shot to bring him down to his knees. It was really believable heat. And yet it lacked the depth that like I always refer to the DIY saga. Like that was the depth of storytelling. There was a moment where Ciampa did the most villainous thing anyone has ever done in wrestling, where he
Aside from Shawn Michaels to Marty Jannetty.
No, more. Do you know about, you may not know about this. He had Gargano on top of like a railing up top, second story. He had him set up for a pedigree.
Ooh.
Had his arms crossed, pulled Gargano's wedding ring off, kissed it, and threw it away.
Wow. That's awesome.
And it was like, oh my gosh. The depth of villainy that was in Tommaso Ciampa's heart and the way they told that story with Candice LeRae. It was incredible. It was incredible. And if you missed that, you missed probably the best storytelling they have ever done. That we needed just a glimpse of that in this feud. We needed a little bit of Gunther saying, I'm going to hit you so hard, Maurice cries on your stupid show next week, you know, or something like that. Something where it's like, the stakes are raised.
Right. Agreed. So your prediction, who wins?
Gunther can't lose to me. Like they've booked him he's untouchable. This can't be believable or realistic in any way. This can't be.
Agreed.
There's no way the Miz can, which makes me think interference or a big return or Logan Paul, like something. What could happen to make this interesting? Because I don't think it's going to be the outcome. I don't know.
I think they're building Logan Paul and LA Knight for WrestleMania. So where does Gunther go? I don't know, but if they had played up the story of like, oh, Miz is the conquering hero who's finally going to eclipse this record, maybe. But with where they're at, if Gunther loses, it's just going to be like a
Why would he lose? Why? What's he
needs to be the boss that goes after whoever beats Roman.
Right. Yeah, I don't see. I think Miz probably has the least chance of getting a W of anybody on the card. Well, no, maybe this next person.
Who's that? What's the next one?
In the Women's World Championship match, we've got reigning Women's Champion Rhea Ripley versus up-and-comer, and I think is a wonderful entertainer, Zoe Stark. I like Zoe Stark. But
I like her too. She's not going to win.
And it's like, how could she? How could she?
Right.
This makes no sense that Rhea would drop the belt here to her.
Right. Agreed. And I mean, if we just keep matching each other, there's not going to be a winner. It's not a prediction battle. It's just us agreeing, but it's okay. The only thing I see that needs to happen here is they've got to pee or get off the pot with Jade Cargill. Like they've waltzed her out through multiple events now. And there has been some like speculation that maybe Triple H finally saw her in ring work and went, "Uh-oh, what did we do? Maybe she's not up to the level we thought she was." But they can build around that. Like they need Jade Cargill somewhere in the picture. And if it's not going to be NXT, it needs to be against Rhea. And so this is the chance to bring her out and have her debut properly.
So I'll offering a dissenting opinion here. I think Nia Jax is the person who's going to medal in this match. I think Nia. I just think the way they've booked her, the way they've brought her out, the way they've 5-on-5, you know, just she's not going away, man. She just beat, Raquel in a match that's like should have been Raquel's clear path to victory. I could see Nia. Now, I'll go dream booking here. Dream booking is Nia comes out to medal, and this is the start of Nia entering the bloodline and the bloodline versus the Judgment Day.
Okay.
That to me, that would have gravity. That would be immensely entertaining to see.
Yeah.
Zoe versus Rhea is not.
Zoe, I mean, I love. I agree, and her Z360 is a amazing finishing move. She has a great look. Honestly, WWE is sitting on one of the best women's divisions I think they may have ever had in terms of athleticism, in terms of personality. I mean, a lot of them are still building, so they haven't got to that Becky Lynch level, but they've still got your Becky Lynch, your Bianca, your Asuka, your Charlotte. You know, they sit on top there. You bring back in Sasha, suddenly they could just do instead of doing SmackDown and Raw, they could have men's roster, women's. I don't know, but whatever it is, but they're building up something great. But I still think Jade Cargill has to do something soon. Otherwise, it's going to be the same thing we just talked about, where it's Santos Escobar over again. 2 months ago, they could have did something great with this. Now we're going, thanks for finally getting there.
Yeah.
But this is the chance. I think they miss it if they don't do it here. But
yeah,
Nia, bloodline, maybe.
I'd like to see Zoe. I'd like to see Zoe team up with Ivy Nile and be a tag team. I really like Ivy.
She's
I
like
really
the short, like super buff chick.
Yeah.
Oh man, she has the gun. Like she is a very like well-built, muscular woman. Like, wow.
And you know what?
She could do something there.
They put her with Maxine less on Raw, and like it didn't make sense. But she carried the match. She carried it. Every time Ivy has been in a match lately, she steals the match. She's the most impressive, the hardest worker, has the best spots, is the one you go, whoa, this little bulldog, there's something special about her. And I think
they need
So I think her and Zoe could really put together an act and do some really good stuff, but it ain't going to be this week at Survivor Series.
I agree. And this brings up, we were talking about the depth of the women's roster, and specifically for those two characters and those who are in their class, they need a mid-card women's belt. They need an intercontinental level belt. And Jade famously had that in AEW, the TNT champion, or TBS championship, which that I think is silly, naming it after the channel they're on. But anyway, if they had some sort of a mid-tier level belt for the women, that gives a lot of intrigue to those type of characters so that we don't have to fantasy book them against Rhea. Rhea can be on that elite level, and Ivy and the others can be fighting for this mid-card belt, working their way towards, because I agree. I think all of them are getting there. I think the ones we've called out are the Becky Lynch of 4 years from now. You know, they are the ones we go, this is the best one that's in the game now, you know, not the champions.
Yeah. And I think that should, on some level, that should be the NXT title, but they've got that roster is so deep. That man, it needs
its own.
Yeah, you can't send them back to NXT at this point, and you really can't have them believably, take over.
Well,
our main event,
of having too many belts, but that's one I want to add.
True.
So anyway, main event. Wow, that's it. Main event already.
Well, let me just say this, Lee. Right? Do we truly have Raw and SmackDown women's title belts? Are they called that?
Well, no, I like the way they've got the women's world and the women's universal or whatever it's called. I mean, I like that. Like, I like it not just being the Raw belt, the SmackDown. In fact, the one thing for the men's roster I want to see as soon as possible is the tag team belts being separated, because now you've got DIY. For sure. Now you've got Alpha Academy as a stable. Now you've got things that are interesting happening, and the belts, they're still carrying out a blue and a red belt. Like, they need to have the world tag team champions and the universal tag team. I don't care what language you use, but I like it not being blue because it's SmackDown, red because it's Raw. Like, I get branding. I love branding. It's great.
Yeah. At least that made
but
sense.
do something different.
Whatever it is now
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Where
Right.
the tag team champs have 4 belts total and they can be on either show. And
yeah, they're just wherever they need to be. So main event already.
Main
though.
event of the night. It's going to be a small card unless they add more matches tonight on SmackDown, which is possible. There is still tonight SmackDown, but as is on the WWE website right now, the final match of the night is the men's War Games match. And that is our Drew McIntyre and the New Day versus Seth Rollins, Randy Orton,
Drew
Cody
McIntyre
Rhodes.
and the New Day.
Yeah. Wait, what did I say? Judgment Day. Did I say the New Day?
Evil goth Kofi is coming to the ring. They cosplayed for Halloween I mean, New Day did cosplay as the Judgment Day for their Halloween stuff. So that
the
was
return
fitting,
of Big E. He's coming back tonight. As
he comes back as Mr. Money in the Bank.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
Again.
I'm glad you caught that. But yeah,
No,
I'm even reading off my screen, and so not only did I missay it, I misread it. So so the Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre versus Seth freaking Rollins, Randy Orton, who's been announced just this week on Raw, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn. So 5 guys that don't go together, don't necessarily like one another, and for some reason, Kevin Owens is not on this team.
Yep.
What sense, what reality are we in where, hey, I know a guy, let's call him, and it's not Kevin Owens? Like, what?
Yeah.
What the heck was that?
Well, again, it's been built around this where it feels like it's CM Punk. I thought Shinsuke was supposed to have a card against a mystery opponent.
He might. I don't know.
So, because
it's not on the website yet.
But if they didn't build that up right, Shinsuke is supposed to be fighting towards a mystery. Maybe it's Raw, which would suck. But Kazuchika Okada is the one who's supposed to come out to fight Shinsuke. That would be a huge reveal. That would add some intrigue. But to me, this is the most like the Survivor Series of my heart, my childhood, where it was Hogan and the Hulkamaniacs, and you got Tugboat and Big Boss Man and whoever, you got these random guys seemingly at the time, the All-American team and the Undertakers on the All-American, so there's a history of things not making sense with that. But this to me is what Survivor Series should be. The other side of this, though, is the Judgment Day angle going into this should have been, look how united we are and look how separate you are. Like, we are a team, you are a group of individuals. And because we are a team, we are going to whoop this group of individuals. Instead, it's Drew McIntyre, which they could have done that we are a team. If Drew McIntyre had come out, they said, "Are you with the Judgment Day?" He said, "I am." And that's it. Like, boom, I'm Judge. I am part of this.
Could have been interesting.
He might still, who knows? But I don't see Judgment Day winning. I think they should, but I don't see them winning. They should have built up more of a fracture in the good guy team. The good guy team seems to be united in spite of their differences. Judgment Day seems to be divided in spite of their similarities, and I think that should have been flipped. So I can't book them into I feel like they've booked themselves into a corner. This is the least interesting match on the card to me, and it should be the most. I don't care about this match, unfortunately, as it sits. If CM Punk comes out, great. I think Randy Orton coming out is going to get a pop. I think that's going to be a big deal. But if I were the booker on this, I would have Randy Orton be that backstage. I told you with the Becky spot, like I'm going to use this later. Make Randy Orton laid out backstage. They're going, oh no, it took everything to find this guy. Now who are we going to find? And maybe Sami Zayn does go like, oh, I'd call Kevin, but he's out of town. Oh, what do we do? And then they get there and it's CM Punk. Without that, I think Randy gets a pop, but I think there's a backlash afterwards. I really think this is a Blue Tista Rey Mysterio coming out at the Royal Rumble instead of Daniel Bryan. I think this is going to be one of those level events where we're like, yay, Randy, but you're not the right guy.
Is this a terrible premium live event as it stands right now, as the card stands?
I hope not. I love Survivor Series. I want it to be the number 3. Royal Rumble's the number 1.
Always.
I know that's backwards. WrestleMania is number 2.
Right.
Survivor Series should be the number 3. Like SummerSlam is a big thing, but it's just a regular anything goes pay-per-view. This is where it should be, like the Survivor. War Games is great. Like I love War Games, but the Survivor match of some kind, like this should be the most important thing until we get to the Royal Rumble. And I don't know that it feels like that to me yet, but it could surprise us. I mean, Crown Jewel, we thought was going to be a throwaway. It had some really good matches, like surprisingly good.
True. Are we going to see Roman and Solo show up in the main event? Are we going to see them interfere somehow to get to Jay, start a beef with Cody? I mean, is there going to be any lasting implications towards WrestleMania from this thing?
So the one fan theory I've seen making the most, making the most rounds on this is that it comes down to Cody and Jay against the entire Judgment Day. Maybe Drew McIntyre got eliminated, but the entire Judgment Day is still there. And they look like it's overwhelming odds. And right when it's the pivot point of the match, Jay turns on Cody and reveals that he's still Bloodline. And then the rest of the Bloodline come out, clap and cheer. Jay leaves. Cody is decimated. He is fighting. He puts up a valiant effort against the onslaught of the Judgment Day, but eventually succumbs to the numbers game. And that's how we get the story moving to WrestleMania. I don't see that happening, though. That's the fan theory.
That would be a terrible ending. Like, what do we care enough about Jay? Have we invested enough about in Jay to not think that was just inevitable? Like, do we really believe that he's like, through and through on his own face away from, I mean, like, what?
I don't know. The only perspective I have is my wife watches alongside. She doesn't, it's like C.S. Lewis is looking at the beam versus along the beam. I look at the beam, like it stares me in the face. My wife watches alongside the beam. And every time Jey Uso comes out as main event Jay, she just goes, "Oh, he's so adorable. He's my favorite." Like, so that's an outside perspective. Like Jey Uso is her favorite out of all.
Something about his little mullet that she likes,
Yeah, that's right. And the crowd bopping that he does. And I mean, I think he's come into his own well. I do think that they've done a good job of presenting him as the Shawn Michaels of the Usos. Sorry, Jimmy Jannetty, but
I don't
Jimnetti Uso. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know.
What is your take on this match, Rusty? Because I think I've presented the darkest timeline. Give us the real thing. Give us the good.
No, I don't know. They got to do something, right, to make us care about this PLE, to make us talk about it tomorrow at work, and to have people log on to the Peacock Network and new subscribers and clicks and views, and like, aren't they all about going viral? And like, there's nothing on this card that would say anyone is going to care about it beyond midnight on Saturday. Like, like I don't. So all that to say, I hope they make us care. I hope they give us something that next week we'll go, "Oh, we totally didn't see it coming," or "Can you believe that ending? Oh, that was so clever." Now, maybe Brock Lesnar is the thing. Maybe, like, honestly, in true WWE fashion, like Cena or Lesnar would be more likely to walk in that arena than CM Punk. And so,
maybe.
But like, who cares? Even if that happens, who cares?
You are flummoxed and flabbergasted.
I
That's
know.
what it's
I
done
just
to you.
don't. I don't. I feel like I'm circling a cul-de-sac looking for an address, right?
Ooh.
And I'm just hoping someone opens their door and says, "Here I am. Here it is." Because I don't see it. I don't see it. I just feel like we're lost, and this is a low card, irrelevant premium live event, and we're just biding time until the Rumble. That's how I feel.
I hope not. I hope this is a springboard. I mean, if Shinsuke and a mystery opponent get added in tonight, and it turns out to be Okada, that is game changing. I mean, maybe a lot of people don't know who he is. He is the star of Japanese wrestling. I mean, period, in NJPW for the last 10 years. He is the boss level guy. So you bring him in, Jade Cargill comes out, or well, I guess in different matches, this Bailey turn and Sasha comes back. I mean, if even half of what we fantasy booked were to come true, we'll be talking about this until the Rumble. But the fear is none of it does, and we just go golf clap, courtesy golf clap.
Or we go, that was the worst episode of SmackDown we've had in months.
Glad they threw a cage in there, but but
Saturday night SmackDown sucked. Like that's what I'm. Oh well, we've got, this is our I think this is our longest episode ever, because we're both off, eating turkey, enjoying the holidays, and so if you've hung with us till the bitter end, we say thanks and we love you, and we'll have Lee take us home.
Well, yeah, thanks. We love you. For all those who are out there enjoying the gratitude of the season, we're grateful for you. Enjoy smashing gems together and have some leftover turkey on us. Bye.